Hey Rebels, David Foster here, and today we're going to be looking at a Trump speech on restoring law and order. Now, I already made a video about this in our locals community. If you're not a member, head over to redacted.inc and click to become a VIP, and that's going to get you exclusive content, early releases, and things like that. Now, I wanted to redo this video on my own channel because new information has come to light, and also I had some time to think. I knew when I made this video that I was going to get some pushback. That was expected, but there were some things that I didn't expect. I'm going to cover that in today's video. So without further ado, let's just jump into it.
Joe Biden and the defund the police Democrats have turned our once great cities into cesspools of bloodshed and crime. There's never been anything like it. Here's my plan to restore law and order in our cities and throughout our country, frankly. First, because police forces have been gutted by Democrats' war on police, I will sign a record investment in hiring, retention, and training for police officers nationwide. So important. This bill will also increase vital liability protections for officers because the Democrats want to take those protections away from our police because we want them to do their jobs.
I want to react to this first of all. This is a gray line because I'm not really sure what he's getting into, but I don't believe that we should remove liabilities for police officers. I think we should actually increase liabilities for police officers. But somebody brought to my attention that there have been things established that they can go after their personal assets, meaning they can sue a police officer personally. Now, I don't agree with that because as a police officer, you represent a city, you represent a town, you represent a township, a county, a state, and that's who should be liable for any litigation. Any liability should fall on them because they are the ones that employ the person that did something. So he doesn't really get into the details of what he's talking about here, so it's really not clear. But I don't agree that we should give police more liability protection because there are a lot of bad cops out there. All you have to do is a YouTube search and you can see countless numbers of overreach from police officers trying to get us to more and more give up our rights. And it is very important that we stand up for those rights. And I'm going to get into more of that here in a little bit, because this doesn't get any better. But as far as police having their personal assets protected, their home, their car, their families, I don't believe that they should be liable personally. Now, if they're off the clocks, if they do something as an off-duty police officer, then by all means, they should personally be held liable.
Because we want them to do their jobs, and we want them to do their jobs right. You can't take their protections away if you're going to have them do their jobs properly. Second, to qualify for this new funding and all other Justice Department grants, I will insist that local jurisdictions return to proven common sense policing measures, such as stop and frisk. Very simple. You stop them and you frisk them.
Okay, now this to me is a blatant disregard for the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment states the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath of affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So what Trump is asking for, they already implemented this in New York City, and it was found to be unconstitutional, so they stopped doing it.
The reasons given for the stops? So-called furtive movements, being in high crime areas or having a suspicious bulge. The judge found the search is unconstitutional.
Now understand, Trump is not asking for that to be done in New York City again. He's saying he's going to bring this back federally. Is there another country who implemented something like that that you can draw a parallel to? Anybody think of Germany in the 40s? This is what happened. It's basically stop and frisk. Show me your papers just for looking suspicious. I mean, this is like Minority Report stuff. You cannot stop crime by taking people's rights away. This is authoritarian. Now, I know some people are saying, well, it's Trump. I trust Trump. He's not going to do anything nefarious. Like, here's just a couple of comments we got from the community. Dita58 says, I can't stand watching your posting past 3 minutes. Police is not going to stop anyone but suspicious persons. Suspicion is not a crime. It is not a crime to look suspicious. They are risking their life and not just stopping people for fun. Stop and frisk is exactly how New York City was able to bring bring down the crime rate and gangster ruining the city, which is not true. That is not true. I lived through the time in New York City, see and feel the difference made by the policy. From New York City is just a terrible place to visit. The law enforcement needs to give the power protection for not to be afraid to do their job and get fired. I do agree that we need police. I am pro-police, but they need better training. You know, I remember a time in my lifetime when police looked at us as people they serve, not just the enemy. I mean, I used to have cops come down my street and we'd stop and they'd talk. They'd ask us what kind of bicycles we had. They were just really cool. Now, I don't even look cops in the eye because you just never know which one's going to be a dick. And there are a lot of dicks out there. Powerful positions attract people who desire power. It's just how it is.
Hey, for a minute. You mentioned the scripture, someone trying to break into people's cars. I'm not breaking anyone's cars.
And if you think that giving police officers carte blanche to search whoever they want because they look suspicious, that is going to be abused, especially on a federal level. This is a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment. It is unconstitutional. And I honestly cannot believe there are people out there that are actually supporting this. Here's something to throw back at you. Yeah, maybe you do trust Trump. Maybe you like Trump. Maybe you think he's a good guy. You think he's the answer for all of our problems. But remember this, once he has that power established federally to stop and frisk whoever we want, guess what? It's going to pass to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. And they might not be like Trump is to you. Trump is an authoritarian at the end of the day. And I know it's hard. Mark Twain said, it is easier to fool someone than it is to convince someone they've been fooled. So I know a lot of people are going to hear this, they're going to see this, and they're going to spin it in every way they can to justify their love and their vote for this man. But I'm telling you right now, this is Germany level authoritarianism. Believe it. Bobby B. Local said, look, partner, I'm with you on a vast number of topics, including not voting for Trump again. But on the subject of implementing drastic measures and return law and order to our streets, I disagree. Sure, things could get out of hand occasionally, but as it stands, we are on the brink of government-sponsored anarchy and chaos. Do a gut check and ask yourself the question, how would I feel if I myself and my family were a victim in a city on fire with no one to help us? Lawlessness cannot be solved by going by the book. It must be met with equal lawlessness temporarily until it is vanquished. Bobby, I mean no offense by this whatsoever, but that is like exactly the kind of line I would think that you would hear when people were defending the SS. When the people were defending what was going on in Germany, they looked for every little ounce of justification they could. But once you start to strip away rights, which they already are doing, we're getting censored on YouTube, we're getting censored on these social media platforms. They have free speech zones in capitals now where you have to be in a zone to practice your free speech. We are losing rights by the day. It's making its way into legislation. Things are happening behind the scenes, and this just lays it out so that they can encroach even more on our rights, take even more, and just expand it and expand it. Since 9/11, they have expanded the executive branch by ways that are completely crazy. Obama was able to call for the assassination of 2 United States citizens without due process, no trial, no court, nothing. One of them, Anwar al-Awlaki, was at the White House and completely cleared of all accusations of him being part of 9/11. I had video that I posted on a blog way back in the day when this first happened that showed what he was doing. He was trying to keep kids over there that have lost their aunts, their uncles, their brothers, their mothers, their fathers from US invasion, and telling them not all Americans are that way, trying to teach them don't hate Americans because of what's happening here. Hate the military. So this is just more expansion of power. And like I said, this is going to pass down to the next guy. And that person could be even more authoritarian than Trump. Now, I did have some people agree also. BK Vancouver said, I 100% agree. Trump is insane, but I think there are still a lot of people that will think this is a good plan. And those are the people that make sure they cast their votes. On the other hand, when have we ever had a president that had ever actually done what they promised when campaigning? Because I'm sure these policies would cost some rich corporation money and they would squash all these tyrannical plans. Recently on Kim Iverson's show, she showed a speech he made about being totally anti-war, which could grab the attention of our people in our community, which is true. This shows he is just saying whatever he can to appeal to the people, no matter if you're anti-war, independent, or evangelical conservative. And that's what it is. Trump is the greatest salesman. He is a salesman. That is all he is. But he is a snake oil sleazy salesman, in my personal opinion. And he's going to sell this to you because he has you convinced that this is a good thing. Losing our constitutional rights is not a good thing. It is not a crime to look suspicious. That is not a crime. But let's get back to the speech.
Such as stop and frisk. Very simple. You stop them and you frisk them. Strictly enforcing existing gun laws against convicted felons, cracking down on the open use of illegal drugs, and cooperating with ICE to get criminal aliens off our streets and get them out of our country. Third, we will go after the radical Marxist prosecutors who are abolishing cash bail, refusing to charge crimes, and surrendering our cities to violent criminals. They have surrendered like never before. I will direct the DOJ to open civil rights investigations into radical left prosecutors' offices, such as those in Chicago, LA, and San Francisco, to determine whether they have illegally engaged in race-based enforcement of the law. I will also work with Congress to give the victims of their Marxist policies the right to sue local officials for harm and suffering, and it has been great that they have caused. If your small business is pillaged because shoplifting goes unpunished, if you're brutally attacked by a violent felon released without bail or bond, then you will be entitled to massive damages. Fourth, I will order the Department of Justice, or some people call it the Department of Injustice right now, and Homeland Security dismantle every gang, street crew, and drug network in America. Every single one of them will be dismantled. We already know where these turf wars and drug dens are. We know who the people are. And we're going to charge them and charge the culprits with every crime that we can find. We're going to be fair, but we're going to be tough. We also need the death penalty for drug dealers. So important. And I'd add to that human traffickers.
What? The death penalty for drug dealers? That's insane. Like, what level of drug dealer? Because there are kids out there dealing drugs. Now, I caught some pushback in the comments for my other video saying that we should just legalize drugs. And everybody's like, that's the worst thing you could do. But no, it's not. There are countries that have done it successfully. Because here's the thing. Prohibition does not work. Okay? It doesn't work. Look what happened when they tried to make alcohol illegal. It created a crime network, an underground, where people died because it creates a way for criminals to make massive amounts of cash. And that's what's happened. The drug war has only made it so that good people go to jail for having drugs and bad people sell those drugs and make a ton of money. If you legalized it, guess what? That would go away. That would completely go away. No matter what it is that you try to prohibit, you create an underground. Just like if they were to take guns. Let's say they're like, okay, no more automatic weapons, no more high capacity magazines. Guess what? Who's going to still have them? The criminals. They're going to create an underground and they're going to make massive amount of money. And a lot of times the government is in on it. So people think it's going to have the opposite effect. But what you do is you treat drug addiction as a psychological problem, as a mental issue, as an addiction, like Alcoholics Anonymous. You deal with them with care, not putting them into this corrupt, money-making prison scheme that we have going on, private prisons. You don't put them into that system because that system is not fair. 65% of the criminals that are in jail right now, incarcerated in the United States, non-violent offenders. Non-violent. Not all drug dealers are violent. There are literally some drug dealers that are kids. And that's why I'm asking, what level of drug dealer? There are people legitimately trying to support a family in this economy by selling drugs because it's the only thing they can find to do. And you want to give them the death penalty? Now, a lot of people said in the comments, no, this is just talking about, you know, cartels and big drug dealers. Do you ever go in and read the legislations that proposed in the Congress and the Senate, what bills they're writing, how they're written? They're always written purposefully vague so that they can interpret it however they want to. So let's say they do impose the death penalty for drug dealers, and then they catch a 16-year-old kid who's been convinced to sell drugs by some other person that's selling drugs and they see them making money. They see them driving nice cars. They see all of this great stuff. And the kid's like, I want that. Kid gets busted, 18 years old, let's say. Guess what? Death penalty? We don't know. But to me, to even propose that is bat shit crazy. That's crazy. That is authoritarian. Now, I am not completely anti-death penalty. I'm not against it for certain things. If you're a serial killer, if you've been molesting kids and doing things like that, I'm all for it, because those people should not be in society. So no matter where you fall on that issue, whether you believe in legalizing it or not legalizing it, this doesn't fix anything. This keeps the underground. This keeps the cartels alive. If you want to really deal with the situation, you cut the cartels off at the source, and that also means the government, because make no mistake, the government makes money on the drug war. They do. That is why they don't want to make things legal, because they're making too much money. The government made a ton of money on the alcohol prohibition as well. So wake up. This is not good.
We're going to be fair, but we're going to be tough. We also need the death penalty for drug dealers. So important. And I'd add to that human traffickers, drug dealers and human traffickers. They get the death penalty. Watch it stop, and stop quickly. Fifth, in cities where there has been a complete breakdown of law and order, where the fundamental right of our citizens are being intolerably violated, I will not hesitate to send in federal assets, including the National Guard, until safety is restored. If Nancy Pelosi would have accepted our National Guard or our soldiers, you wouldn't have had January 6th. But
so again, he is suggesting martial law in cities until law and order is restored. What does that even mean? That the military is going to have a presence in Seattle and what? Stop and frisk people? Is that authority going to transfer to the military as well? I mean, do you guys not see the parallel to Nazi Germany here? Am I high? Oh, wait, no, I'm not high. I'm not a drug dealer. Do you know what I mean? Martial law, again. We have the Constitution for a reason. The Constitution is like this thick. These are the laws that they have to abide by. It's small. It's not many. We can't let them get rid of the only laws we have on them. Have you ever seen our law books? They're like many. And you know what? A lot of those laws that they create, they don't have to abide by. They get, I believe, $175,000 salary of our money every year, plus a $30,000 furniture budget, and full on all their health care, all their medical, everything is covered for them by us. We can do nothing for the citizens, and we have to follow these insane laws, and all we're trying to do is hold them to the few that we give them. And anybody supporting this is supporting losing even more of those rights. They're continually getting stripped away. We cannot support this. And again, I don't care if you like Trump. You can like Trump. You can think he's the best thing to ever happen. You can think that he is the son of God and he is here to do God's work for you. But you have to be real and you have to pay attention, because what he's proposing is authoritarian and moves us closer to a dictatorship. In other countries, they fight a lot harder for their rights than we do. And the reason is because they unite against a common enemy. We are so divided in this country, left and right, that we do not realize that we have a common enemy. And they are taking rights away from both sides. We cannot trust these people. They are not doing this for us. They're doing it for themselves. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you'll be.
Until safety is restored. If Nancy Pelosi would have accepted our National Guard or our soldiers, you wouldn't have had January 6th. But she and the
I agree with that.
DC didn't do that. Sixth, we will end the leftist takeover of school discipline and juvenile justice. Many of these carjackers and criminals are 13, 14, and 15 years old. I will order the Education and Justice Departments to overhaul federal standards on disciplining minors, so when troubled youth are out in control, they're out on the streets and they're going wild, we will stop it. The consequences are swift, certain, and strong, and they will know that.
Now, I do agree that we do need to better police, things that are happening with younger kids these days. I mean, it's like, it's 15, 16, 17-year-olds that are out here in mass numbers stealing cars, going in, breaking into grocery stores or whatever. And I'm very sympathetic when it has to do with, like, if somebody was robbing a grocery store, a 16-year-old kid, they go in and they steal food because they're trying to take it home to feed their family. That's one thing. That is one thing. But that is not what's going on. They're going out and they're stealing cars. Like there's this Kia thing or whatever, like this, I believe it was a TikTok thing to see if you could steal a Kia. So there's people doing it. And I agree. But I believe that social media, I believe TikTok, I believe some of these social media things are the culprit of this, because it makes them internet famous. They want to post the videos. They just want to be famous. So I think you need to start with eliminating social media, for people who are under the age of maybe even 18. Limit it, not eliminate, limit it. These apps have the power to put limits on accounts and say, hey, if you are under 18 years of age and it's verified, you have to verify your age, you know, somehow. I don't know if I necessarily want these apps to have our IDs or something, but there is a way that we can verify who we are, I'm sure, or just be better parents. If I were a parent, my kid would not be on that as long as they haven't. I love that TikTok just released a thing that you can connect two apps, the parent and the child's app, and then I can personally decide how long they're on there. That to me would be awesome if every social media platform just did that and allow people to parent. And parents, start parenting. Stop putting your kid down in front of a TV, in front of an iPad, on a phone, just so that you can go sit and do whatever it is you do. Be a parent. Step up and be a parent. Don't let your kids be on these social media apps, because that is what they're doing. They want internet fame. And I do believe that's a lot of it. I don't think that's all of it, but I think it's a lot of it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. By the way, if you're new here and you like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. I'd appreciate it. If you're on Rumble, also subscribe, and I'll keep making content like this because it's fun, right? Are you liking this? Let me know. Give it a thumbs up if you are.
We will stop it. The consequences are swift, certain, and strong, and they will know that. Seventh, I will protect the right of self-defense everywhere it is under siege, and I will sign concealed carry reciprocity. Your Second Amendment does not end at the state line. In addition, I will, of course, fully secure the border, dramatically increase interior enforcement, and wage war on the cartels. We have never had a border so secure as it was just 2 years ago, and now our border is the worst anywhere in the world, and possibly of all time.
So to me, this sounds like he's suggesting we go after the cartels in Mexico, meaning the United States could invade Mexico. And I know a lot of you in the comments were like, no, that's not what he's saying. He's gonna fight the cartels here in the United States, the cartels that come over the border. Most of the cartels don't come over the border. Yeah, they have representatives everywhere. I think he's talking about military action in Mexico. Now, guess what just came out that helps me see that I think I'm right? So Dan Crenshaw, who I'm not a fan of, think what you will of him, he tweeted, "Today, the president of Mexico said he opposes my bill to authorize military force against the cartels. I'm glad he has finally taken notice. Lopez Obrador, how would you feel if an American gang was poisoning 70,000 Mexicans every year with fentanyl?" Wait a minute. Mexican cartels are poisoning people with fentanyl. Who produces fentanyl? Cartels? Cartels manufacture fentanyl? Really? No. You know who does? The pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry who are killing all these people. But you know what? Let's go ahead and blame the drug cartels. Now, another reason that I feel this is because, like I said, Dan Crenshaw came out. Now, Lindsey Graham. I'm no fan of this man. I loathe this man. This warmonger piece of shit. I do not like him. Think what you want of him. But listen to this, and this is why, again, I believe that Trump is on the same page as Lindsey Graham here.
Passing this law, if it was signed even, fine. President Biden would have this military authority. So far, he's shown no desire to want to use any military authority or military action against the cartels. On an even deeper level, do you even trust the Biden administration and Secretary of Defense Austin to prosecute a war competently against the cartels?
Well, what I'm trying to do is bring to the table solutions that don't exist today. I reject the status quo. The law enforcement model, as you articulated in your opening, is not working. You know, the fentanyl problem is an epidemic in America getting worse. So no, I'm not commander-in-chief, but I'd like to give the commander-in-chief congressional authorization to use force to stop the poisoning of America. If they don't use it, we'll have an election in 2024, and people can run on a platform. I would use it if I could.
Now listen to that. Again, who makes the fentanyl? Go after the source. Go after who's making the fentanyl, who are raking in profits. If you've not seen the movie Dope Sick, please, I encourage you, go watch the movie Dope Sick with Michael Keaton. It is an amazing movie, and it shows you exactly what's going on here. It shows you how the drug companies work. They're working right alongside the FDA. Make no mistake, this is what they want. So saying that they're gonna go to war in Mexico. I mean, we border Mexico. Many of us sometimes go down there shopping, hanging out. And again, the cartels only exist because of the freaking drug war. It's a black market. I know a better way to make it go away than war. You know how? Make drugs legal. Would you rather us go to war and kill people in Mexico. Think about that. That's insane.
So the point I'm trying to make is that the current situation is untenable. The Mexican government is no longer in charge of most of their country. It's a narco-terrorist state, and we should put on the table the tools of our military to go after these terrorists as if they were any other terrorist. And they're killing more Americans from drug cartels in Mexico than all the terrorist activity combined since 9/11.
No, you and I talked during the raids on ISIS and the beginning of the war on ISIS. They beheaded 6 or 7 Americans, tragically, horrible. And we went.
They actually didn't. CNN footage, green screen. Anyway, can't say that probably. Can't really go there, but it didn't happen.
After him and took care of business. That's a little different than what we're seeing right now. This is President Biden talking about the Mexican relationship, in which he said that this is. Mexico is not our backyard, it's in our front yard, our front door neighbor. It was a nice point he made at the Cinco de Mayo celebrations. Do you have any realization from the White House that they take this seriously and that they realize that the Mexicans just aren't up to this?
Well, that's a good question. Is it a lack of will? They just don't have the will to take their country back from the terrorist? Or is it capability? They don't have the capability. Let me give you an example from 2000. Bill Clinton, a Democratic president, came up with an idea called Plan Colombia. We sent military forces to the country of Colombia to work with their military and their law enforcement officials to take down the cocaine trafficking networks. FARC was a terrorist organization, a leftist group that was being financed by cocaine, and they were poisoning America. It worked. So I'm suggesting a Plan Mexico.
I'd like to see proof that that worked. You know what I mean? Anytime the U.S. military gets involved in things, generally doesn't work unless complete destruction and mayhem is working. Anyway, you've heard enough of this. Let's get back to the speech. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it sounds to me like the Republican Party is going to start proposing we go to war with Mexico because we just have to have wars, right? If we can't be in wars, we're not happy. We are a war-mongering country, and we're coming for you. You got natural resources? We're coming. We're going to get them. We're taking them. All of your natural resources. We want them. They're ours.
And now our border is the worst anywhere in the world and possibly of all time. There's never been a country that allowed to happen what's happening in the United States right now, where millions of people are pouring across our borders. They come from mental institutions, they come from the prisons, they're all being let out so they can come into the United States. They're poisoning our country. We will also take back our streets from the homeless, the drug addicted, and the mentally ill. I will discuss those plans in much more detail very soon.
Okay, so I don't like his phrasing here. I understand there is a crisis, a homeless crisis, and some people are legitimately homeless. You know, they legitimately lost their job by no fault of their own during the pandemic or whatever. They are legitimately trying. They're homeless. But when you say we're going to take back the streets from the homeless, a term like take back, that sounds by force. You don't take something from someone. You request it. You know what I mean? If you're saying you're going to take something, that is by force generally. You don't just walk up and take somebody's French fry and just like, you know, you just take it and eat it. No, that is theft. You stole my French fry, right? Anybody else feel that way about fries? Am I getting a little bit too over dramatic on French fries? I love French fries. There is a problem and there are solutions, but we're spending nearly $1 trillion a year on war to kill people. Why couldn't we just take what money we sent to Ukraine? Let's get the money back we sent to Ukraine. That 117 billion we're up to now. Let's get that money back since it's a wash anyway, since we just got rid of it, right? We just sent it to Zelensky. Let's bring that back and let's put that into the homeless population. Let's see if we can't fix something in America for once the right way, because obviously we just have the cash laying around. We can send it to Ukraine, so it's obviously just laying around here. So rather than spending it to kill, spending it on war with no accountability, let's take it, let's give it to the homeless crisis, and let's account for it. Let's account for every single dollar that we keep in on our shores. Sounds like a novel idea. We know that's not going to happen. That'll never happen.
We will also take back our streets from the homeless, the drug addicted, and the mentally ill. I will discuss those plans in much more detail very soon. That is how I will bring back public safety to America. I want to thank you. We're going to make America great again, and we're going to make America safe again. Thank you.
You're never going to stop all crime. I mean, you have to look at what's on the line here. Ben Franklin said this, Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty or safety. That is what's being proposed. Trump thinks he's going to make us safe by taking away our rights. Again, I don't care if you like Trump. This is not good. You can't support this. And if you do support this, you are supporting losing more of our rights. And if that's you, I don't understand how you get there. They get these laws, they get these powers in the executive branch, and then they expand upon them. And that is what you would be voting for. You are voting for the expansion of executive power to take and make our book of rights even smaller. And that is dangerous. And that is why I will never support a person that proposes this kind of ever, and why you shouldn't either. All right, thanks you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please be sure to like and subscribe. Click the bell. If you're on Rumble, please subscribe as well. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos like this. And also, we have an amazing community. If you want to come over and sign up, head over to redacted.inc and become a Rebel VIP and get all kinds of exclusive content, little behind the scenes here and there, and just have great conversations with the rest of our community. And we have some really cool stuff coming very soon, so you'll definitely want to be a member over there. I appreciate each and every one of you, and let's have a civil conversation about this below. Let's talk about it. All right, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.